All right, I think we are live. Hello, welcome. Let's see here. Yep, that's going live. So let's see here. Need to zoom in. Do our usual swappage here. All right, cool. So that can go away. Got that going. All right. All right. All right. Now, why isn't it showing up on live stream? Let's see here. 1 second. I always got to do all this checkage to make sure everything's working right. That's happening. Okay. Cool. So let me do my link sharing real quick. All right, let me share on Facebook real quick. A live stream has started. All right, let's do that. And then I need to go one more place. Share the news here. Does it have the right thumbnail? No, it doesn't. I keep hoping that it's going to work right, but it's still not working right. Someday. All right, here. So this is Del Norte 5. I have all sorts of things to show you guys today. So how is everybody? If you have an initial question on anything, shoot away. Please share, and then we can get our marching orders intact. So I could go like that. And zoom in. Like that, like that. Get these over here for now. We will look at those in a minute. I bought OmniPulse a few days ago. It's great. Thank you. I've gotten so many really nice emails from really nice all you customers saying it's one of your favorite libraries, which I wasn't expecting that. It's fun. It's really cool stuff. And that's the first thing we're going to look at, because there is an update to that library that came out really nice. And there's some really nice stories to add to this. I mentioned last week the possibility of doing multi-competition, and I decided against it. It's going fairly well, but it's been fairly involved getting my house financing set. It's supposed to close on Thursday, and so there's a lot I've had my head wrapped around, insurance and all this stuff. And so I was like, I can't take on doing a multi-competition. And on top of that, I just finished doing, where's my votes? Oh, here it is. For a remix competition for a song, which hopefully I'm going to get the okay to show you guys next week. No, that's the Zappy Patch. That's comments. Yeah, there you go. Here's my votes for this remix competition. It's a Christian artist, and a whole bunch of people submitted. There's a whole bunch of remixes, and so I'm hopefully going to be able to share with you the winners. They are winning some Plugin Guru stuff, and also share, maybe try to do remix with you guys live. Let me show you what I do, what I approach. I can show you some remixes I've done in the past, and what's kind of involved, and what to think about. The definition of a remix is so different I come from the school where in the 90s and stuff, when an artist put a song out for a remix, they wanted a version that had a whole different take, that had like very little. Some remixes would have just a simple phrase from the original song, and that was it, and everything else was new, to be a true remix. And so many of these remixes were not done that way. They were using synthesizer parts because they sent out all the stems of all the parts. And that's not a remix when you do that, in my opinion. I'm more of like, you need to go someplace totally different than where you were. That's a remix. But it was fun to do, and there were some really good entries and stuff like that. So, oh, I need to pause my video here. So, yes, I still have green hair. My daughter colored my hair very well. It's lasting. I've never had my hair colored before, but when you have a teenage daughter, this is the kind of stuff that will happen to you, right? Anyway, so it's been busy. So I didn't do this multi-competition. 3 of you wonderful customers of mine sent multis to me anyway. And it was so sweet and really nice multis. And so I contacted them and said, would you mind if I included them as part of this bonus for OmniPulse 2? And they were thrilled. They got a library. I gave them each a library of their choice. Yes. All sorts of, it was really fun. It's very cute. So there is now these bonus multis at the beginning. The B's are the bonus multis I've created, and the U's are the 4 multis from users. Most people go gray when they have it. Well, this is hiding gray. You know this? That's gray. So I went green. And then I went through and I pulled out a handful of patches from these new multis that I did. But I kept the original patches here, even though if you go to the patch list, you will now see a B. So when you're, let's see if we initialize patches. I'll show you the patches first. Initialize multi. Let me make sure I'm on the right track. I come over here. If I call up the original hammer, here's the edit that was used for a new multi. Okay. Dance's Revenge. Instead of this, halftime. So these variations simplified in most cases, it seems. Miami Dice actually did 2 different, I've used it 2 times in 2 different. So the original, more bassy. So these are the 2 variations. So you see this throughout the whole library. Train Love, that was with the arpeggiator doing it, is now just a single note, so you can, the arpeggiator's off. So these are all bonus patches. Here's a falling major to minor. It was originally like that. You bring the mod wheel up, and it goes major. Because so many cool trance tracks are just switching from a minor 7 to a major 7 chord. This version, I actually have a very cool trick where I created, check this out. So those notes that were being transposed by the mod wheel, I changed them so that they are changed by velocity. And then I set up the arpeggiators so that when I play soft, or actually the key to make this work is you go to the amps, you make sure there's no velocity here. So no matter what you play, it's going to be the same volume, and you play it. It's minor. 1, 2. So it switches automatically. So there's stuff like that happening. So there's all these bonus patches. It went from 88 to 112 patches. And there's these additional new bonus multis I'm going to show you. This is available for free on the website. If you own the library, you log in and there's your list of all the products you own. You'll see OmniPulse 1_1. That is this updated library. Let me show you the multis. These came out really cool. So here's A Night to Remember. You know that... That's cool. This is the assembly line to heaven. And I hear crackling, so the audio is my computer's being taxed. Okay. Kinda in a hurry. We all have those kind of days, right? Sounds like a pop song. There's a song I know that has this for a verse. I kept thinking of Wall-E and the busy little computers running around and stuff for some reason for a lot of these. Let's get complicated. A lot going on. Here's the minor major chill. So you play. Hold it down. And it does a major. Okay. And I didn't I'm playing it real time, so I'm off a little bit. Okay, really cool. No excuses. And check this out. So we can do something like here's the original. I didn't say this, or I did, maybe I did, but here's the original. And it's not the version I used. So I didn't save this one for the second time that I used this one, but I modified the bass. I didn't save every patch out, so there's extra patches still hiding in the multis. That's pretty close to the original. This is quite different. So if we go to part 3, here's the original. Click this and it'll call it the original. So I took it to 8th notes, and here this time I saved it. But I didn't notate that I saved it. Oh, I did in this one. Okay. Sometimes I didn't. That's pretty similar. And that's pretty similar to the original. So by slowing down and changing just a couple of them that were busy, like go to part 3. If I would have had the original, that's too much upper mid frequency busyness going on, right? By changing this to 8th notes, then I made it shorter. And like I'm hearing that changing this is really cool, right? So all you have to do is right click and say modulate this with something. And we could say a mod wheel. So that way it just adds to the whole mix of all these other patches and what their modulation wheel assignments are. Saving the day. Mod wheel up. So again, these are built on 4 different patches that are okay. So that's what's fun with this is you have 4 patches you could use separately, or you can use 2 or 3 of these or all of them together. They're just there to work with to start with. Stuck in the puck. This is fun. Stuck in the tar pits. That's when the water gets hot. Oh, turn on the keyboard window. Sure. I didn't update the README that comes with it. Also note, before you install this, I had a really good question yesterday that I want to share with you an answer to. And that is in regards to if you want to use the update and you want to install this, but you want to keep the current version because you've done edits to some of the patches, some of the multis, you don't want to break those, right? So if you go to your Steam folder, to Omnisphere, don't worry about this is my own folder I put here for when I pull libraries out that I need to hide because I'm not going to show them yet. That's where they go. Settings library, you need to go to patches and multis. And if you go to OmniPulse 2 folder and click it and give it a name, JL, let's say, by changing the name, and then going back to Omnisphere, you'd probably need to quit Omnisphere and restart it before installing. I could now install the Omnisphere library. In fact, let's try it. Without restarting, I'm curious to see what happens. Just to see what happens. This is, oh, let me hide this because you can't see all the stuff that's going on over here. Not yet. There's stuff that you can't see yet. OmniPulse 2. And it says, want to install this? I say yes. Theoretically, because the folder and the patch folder have been named something differently, it won't overwrite these. But I didn't quit Omnisphere and restart Omnisphere, so maybe it will. We will find out. We will see if it's able to do this directory update without restarting, because typically, anytime you change directories, you have to restart Omnisphere, but we're doing it a different way. I like doing acid tests in front of lots of people on YouTube Live, right? But by doing this, you can make it so that you don't erase the existing version of the library. So you'll now have 2 versions of OmniPulse. One with your initials and one without your initials, which is the new updated version. So that way you can manage them and move patches around later or whatever you want, but you don't erase them. All right, what do we see? So it installed this, which I believe this is the first version of OmniPulse. I don't think this is the version that has the... Did I lose my bonuses? Oh, that'd be sad if I did. It did. Okay, let me get the other one back that has the bonuses. I know where that's at. That's right here. So let's go over here. If I quit and restart my... Let's do that. Just, you guys hang on with me for a minute. Watch this. This is magic. Magic happening. So I'm going to quit. I'm going to restart this song and so wait 1 second. I got to quit. I'll be right back. Okay, so it says the library JL is inconsistent, which is fine. So I need to hit the little, but look at, they're there. So I have a feeling my theory is going to prove to be effectively working. So it's got to index all the patches, but I'm not afraid to do this. Isn't it just enough to use save as? Yes. You can also save as and save it to the user folder if you keep track of the patches. But if you've done a whole lot of edits and you have 5-star, 4-star, 2-star to all the patches and the multis, when you install a new Omnisphere file, it erases all of that. And some people want to keep that. And I totally respect that. And this is how you don't have to do this. This is kind of out there a little bit. It's requiring a little file management. You have to know how to get to the Finder to find your Steam folder, to rename the patch folder, to rename the multi folder. You don't have to rename sound sources because that folder is the same for everybody. So it can just overwrite that existing sound sources folder and both versions of the library will access it. But by doing that, I now have OmniPulse 2 and the original OmniPulse 2 JL. So this is my special one. It didn't erase this, but it installed this. So I have 2 versions of the library installed. So if you want to get 2 versions of a library, because I love to do updates. Part of the reason is because I like to add additional patches and ideas come to my mind that I didn't include, and it's my website and I can do that. The other reason is these files end up on torrent sites within about 2 or 3 days after I've released it. And by doing updates, I'm releasing stuff now that's not available on the torrent sites. So this is kind of a, I don't know, whatever. Read into it what you want, but I like to give you stuff and hopefully it's not on the torrent sites. It's kind of a, you know. So anyway, I want to show you these. These are the 4 user-created multis. And they're awesome. This was aged very nicely. It's only 3 parts, but it's really simple and usable. You can have melodies over this, singing. You know? Doesn't always have to be a ton of stuff. So I thought this was really fun. That is by Achim Zimmerman. Here's Bernie. I don't know if he's here. He's in Holland. But it's a split. And it's going to kill my computer. I know this one is really CPU heavy, but it's a split where you've got a lot going on. You got the bass. And my computer's going to die. So that came out really cool. So Bernie, he sent me a really nice email. It made him really happy that he's in the bonus update. So that's really cool. Here's another one from Achim. This is really cool. All those big Depeche modes. Oh, there's Bernie. Bernie's here. Everybody say hi, Bernie. He's in Holland, and he created the Magic Split. And then here's Spongolite. This is from Lyndon Johnson. I think it's Linda Johnson. Pretty cool. So these multis are all there. Along with the other 13 that I did in the original version of the library. So it's 25 multis now. So it came out really nice. I'm so happy that you guys that sent multis to me, it was serendipitous, happy coincidence. And I was going to do the update. So I included them. Came out great. So that update is available now. Just to be salesperson for a brief moment, because I have to do that kind of stuff. If you go to the Plugin Guru website, the library is 10% off for a couple more days until the 15th. So come grab it. It's got 137 patches. It's 10% off, which is like under $32, I believe. August 10th update, now with 25 multis. We also have this really cool this player that will play the multi so you can hear them, artwork, all that kind of stuff. So come to the website, get your sounds. It's really cool. Came out great. So that is part of what we were talking about today. Next up, I want to just mention briefly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. In the future, I'm going to have a wireless network set up so I can show on the iPad and you'll hear the iPad to hear what is going on. I mentioned this on the Facebook page. There's a new iPad application that's really interesting that has some off the cuff kind of different synthesis approaches to it from the Waldorf team. It's called PPG Infinite, and it's really interesting. It's a bit of a lot to grasp. Here's the interface for it. So it's basically multiple oscillators that can be clicked, and when you click one, you go into this place where you're seeing it in a 3D form as well as a waveform spectrum display. There's a whole lot of different types of parameters and an XY pad for controlling the sound. There's this whole modulation page, which is just it's a lot to grasp. There's an effect page. I didn't screen capture of it. It's a $20 app on the iPad, and it will be coming to plugins for audio units and VST. I do know they are planning to do that. And Wolfgang Palm is a very creative, smart person. There's some really interesting other concepts at play, and I don't know if it's because I was trying to think if it's because of piracy or just because of it's designed on the iPad first. I was trying to like, why are they doing it here instead of just as a plugin? There's a lot less piracy on the iPad. You can't pirate anywhere near as easily. I guess you can if you jailbreak and do that stuff, but really cool sounds. It's digital in nature. It's not trying to be an analog simulator. Some of the sounds are really sharp and spiky. Wait, let's see if I can play this and have it so you can. It's really a crazy. You're not hearing the full effect of it, but it's still going on. Oh, I have hold on, so I don't want to hold on. I'm still learning it. I just got it yesterday. I got a text from my friend Jordan Rudas going, dude, have you got this yet? It's amazing. So I had to grab it and check it out. So each week I want to at least talk about one new synthesizer that I haven't covered before. So this week it's PPG Infinite, and we'll do something next week. There's so many synthesizers that I want to share and get you guys to be just thinking about. You need to know that everything that's out there and what it can do, what makes something unique, all that kind of stuff. So this week I'm picking PPG Infinite as the synth you should be aware of. There will be more coming. So that is that. I had a customer ask an interesting question, and let's see if we can do this. He asked about sounds. Let's see here. So if I have this and I bring up a new audio track, this type of a bass sound is interesting. And I want you to listen to it for a second, and then we'll look at, this is a track called Issues. Oh, cancel that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I was supposed to do this and say, get information. It's by Detlef and Green Velvet. And I bought it so we could play it. So the main thing is the bass sound. So let's get up here to the bass. Because it sounds like such a simple bass. But how do you get that bass that's just solid and saturated like that? And so let's take a look at what I would suggest to start with to get a bass like that. If you were starting from scratch, this is the idea of starting from scratch. Initialize the multi. I did these classes with these guys. They're now some of the biggest in the industry in doing movie trailer music in Los Angeles. They were UCLA students. And they would bring me MP3 files. They would actually email them to me before the lesson. And then they would come over and we'd have like 2-hour sound design programming lessons. And it would be like, how do you make this sound? How do you make this effect? How do you do that? So we're going to start a how do you do that in each one of my live streams as well. It's another thing I want to incorporate in this and future live streams. So when you're starting with a sound like this from scratch, how do you get from this to, right? So let's do this. I'm going to first go. Let's also cover a little remix trickery stuff. So, because I'm going to try to get this opening with that effect. Let's make that a loop. So let's get this over so you can see what I'm doing. So I dragged the MP3 file into Logic. It converted it to an audio file. So please tell me if this is helpful. I don't want to waste time doing stuff that's not helpful, but I'm thinking this might be helpful. But you telling me this is helpful will let me know it is helpful, okay? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to Command T. Oh, wait. Let's go up here to, oh, Command T. So I'm going to get rid of this part of the song because I just want to focus on making this loop, and then the next step so I need to trim this. So let's zoom in so that we have this perfectly, that should be a perfect loop, right? And it's supposed to be 2, 3, 4, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So it's supposed to occupy 2 measures. Logic and most of these programs have really cool tools where you can select a region. You can go up, let's see here, under track. Let's see, where is it at? I know that I can also do it. Where is my tools? I select this. I have key commands for it, but I'm trying to find it. It's under Edit to Tempo. So here we want to adjust tempo using region, length, and locators. So it's under Edit to Tempo in Logic. And what this does is it's looking at, this is set up, my locators are set up to be 2 measures, and my region is selected, and it's supposed to be 2 measures. And by saying adjust and saying globally, it will lock it so that okay. So that's looping. If I turn on my kick drum, it's locked as well. So I'm going to go to my kick. That's not the right kind of kick. Part of the trick to getting a mix with that bass sound is having the right kick sound. So let's listen to a second to the track. There's a big kick drum in. Maybe not. A bass sound that big, and I don't hear a big, I don't hear, let me mute this again. So if that's the case, what we could do if we wanted to kind of simulate something like that, even with this kick drum that we currently are playing. So let's select this kick. it's that note. So by playing it, I now have it over here so that I can. What note was it? Come here for a second. I have too much going on all at once. So it shows it as E. So we find E. There it is. It's nice and snappy, but it's got so much low end in it, right? There's no way you could use that kick and make that dark bass and make it sound good. Yeah, there's good kicks they're everywhere, but I want to show you how you can do it with almost anything. So we go high pass filter and turn on the transient designer, because the idea here is that this is going to like snap. I could just use the kick that's in here, but I want a little more snap. So I'm adding that to it. Right? And then when the groove comes in, let's add one more track for the. Let's fill it out. So we have the full groove, right? So we can pop this in and out when we want. So, all right, we got the groove. Now we need the bass. How do we make a really huge, fat, solid bass from scratch in Omnisphere? It's a bass, so we want to go to the main page and take it down an octave so I don't have to sit here and twiddle with the transposed. And the key that they have, let's see if we turn off cycle and play like major. F sharp. Okay. So, turn back on cycle mode. Sometimes it's fun to play the part in even if it's wrong. Right? It's close enough. I mean, it's just. Maybe it's not on the downbeats. Let's take out the downbeats. Because that's where we want the. Okay. So now we get to the fun part. How do we take this from this to being really this big massive thing? The bass sounds like it had. So first place to go, obviously we need to filter this, right? And the default filter comes down to the rest. We don't want to do that. We're just gonna have it be nice and bright, no velocity. I want it to be so that when I play it. So here, now let's listen to the filters. This is a low pass filter. We need a filter that really gives us more low end. And it might not sound like that's more low end, but it's actually more low end because it's a higher, stronger slope, add a little resin. Let's go to Mogi. Maybe we want to add just a little snap to this, so we might go like this. Add the snap. Okay. Okay, now we need to get it an octave lower. Now we could do it just by doing here. And it doesn't sound right yet, right? Okay, the effects are an important part of this, especially compressor, limiters, and so forth. Because if I'm looking over here at my mix, and I have this at 0 dB, typically I can go all the way up to 0 dB with this sound. And I need to because I'm dealing with a big remix, big sounds, stuff. So you can bring up your volume here. I'm looking at my levels. Because this sound is so dark, if it was brighter, it'd be up louder. But since it's so dark, so you can watch your meters and you can find where this bass gives you really nice energy, but it's not too dark. A lot of times people make basses that are too dark. And the key to finding that out is to look at your meters and see where do they rest. If you go too low, it starts to drop. So between this and then let's go do a really short, well, here, let's do it old school. So typically you want to have a compressor. And then let's limit it and turn off the limiter. Okay, now let's play. Now it's not saturating and like it's not owning yet, right? It's nice, but most people stop right here. Well, don't. Turn this off. Now we need a sub. We need to add the extra sub to this. So let's go back to the waveforms of the synth, to a sine wave. Whoa! Combine that with this. And what I do for basses is I will set the phase to a preset value for both. It almost, if you had an oscilloscope, you could look at this and see how that's impacting. But by setting the phase to something besides 0, when it's 0, it's random. Which means each time I play this, if you listen to the low end, it's dancing around, it's changing the phase. Hear that? If I set these, it doesn't even matter what the value is. If they're both something other than 0, it's the same every time. And it's stronger. Hear that? So now when I play this, now I might need to, if I want to have this to be like, it's like a whole wall of sound, so this is the wrong pattern. It's more of the, because the low one is missing. So I'm changing the release time. Let's see how close we are to that's a very specific pattern. So let's go boom, 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 boom. Okay. So by filtering, by setting phase, especially for basses, to be set values instead of random, maybe even turning off the analog so that it doesn't drift any. And then really it just is to taste. If you go through all the different sawtooth waveforms, that's different. This low end, the shape here, bring up resonance a little bit. Now I noticed on the original, that's an older track, so I would almost consider doing something like this. We could go to layer A, since that's the sawtooth. Let's use the tape slammer, which can age something without it, with it. You could even go before this, add a 3-band EQ. Now, if you need a new huge kick to come in, that's going to be where you need to start looking at your sidechain compression and ways of getting rid of the kick. But if from what I can tell from what they're doing in their mix is mainly oh, I hear a low end come in too. So that gets even trickier because now you got all this huge low end, you got to share it with the kick drum. Yeah, it's old school solid bass. And okay. If you need to make it mono, so the attack is only when you play one note. I'm supposed to have the keyboard up, so let's do this. Go environment. Show me the MIDI keyboard, please. So we gotta come over here, go to clicks and ports. And let's get this to go away for a second so I can minimize my window. And say hide cables, hide the side. Zoom this over like that. Put this there, and then Omnisphere can go right here. And so I'm gonna save this. I like that bass. I'd have to check that with speakers. Hearing with earbuds is a challenge. So save patch as. Bass. YT for YouTube. So let's go to make it simple, let's go patches to user. You want to choose the folder that you save the patch to. This is a very important step because by doing this, hopefully your user folder shows the multiple folders like this. If it doesn't, there's it's called like the default folder.zip that you can unzip from. I believe do I have it here? No, I don't. But it comes in the factory patches folder, and that lets you create something which has the current categories, because when I go here to synth bass and I hit save, it pops up these specific tags that are relevant to basses, to synth basses. So I'm just going to say this: analog, classic, deep tone, mood, whatever, dark, fun, powerful, party, genre, films. I mean, it could be any style. Every style needs a dark bass, right? Simple is how much does it take of the mix? How complex is it frequency-wise? And author is me. No library, no comments yet, so I'll just save it. So it's saved. So, and it's consistent because I set it so that there's phase set at a certain value. It's solid. If I change these back to random, I think I have analog down too, which helped, but okay. So that's how you make that kind of money sound, the big bass. And his and Hans Zimmer's team for sound design. I make decent money. I've worked with Hans Zimmer. I'd much rather do this and sell my sounds to 300 musicians than to just one. I actually make more money doing it this way than if I work for, I've worked for Hans, I've worked for a whole lot of different film composers, and I've worked on records for 20 years in Los Angeles. And this business enterprise is working out to be really nice. I'm buying a new house. I mean, it's very cool how it's working out. And I'm helping people. I would much rather, to be honest, I get more happiness meeting Bernie in Holland and having him send me a multi that's inside of one of my libraries, far more than working the most famous musicians in the world. I could care less about working with famous musicians. That's the last of my desires. Because there you're just whatever they want you have to do. Here I get to work and interact, and I'm helping you guys. And I've helped film composers, and I've made virus patches for Harry Gregson Williams that he's used on all sorts of movies. I've made all sorts of things for just the names and names I could run off, but I don't need to do that. I'd much rather help you guys. So that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Scott's cool. You guys are all, everybody's cool. It's so cool that you guys send me email and communicate. And I know so many of you from communications as well as seeing you guys on these live streams. It's a great treat. All right. So that was the main things for Omnisphere, for new sound, for the updated library. The last thing to show you guys, and this could be a bit of a dive. I'm going to show you guys what is involved to take and make one of the multis for OMG. Because that's what I'm doing now. I have Airwave doing this. The two of us are working. Since he did so many of the multis for Break Tweaker. So I'll show you. Here's one that I have completed just to show you what's going on. So the idea is this. Break Tweaker is the isotope rhythmic plugin. It's a great plugin. I still like it even though they haven't updated it in eons and it has white whiskers longer than mine. But Break Tweaker is got a really cool feature set and I've done 2 libraries for it. So we did Mega Macho Drums became a library of grooves, and then I hired NATO Feels, Airwave, Toby Pittman, and myself, and so we have 2 different libraries for Break Tweaker. So if we go to the Air Breaks 2, which is from Airwave, when you play the lowest notes, it's the samples, right? The next octave up from that on their keyboard, oh, we're not seeing the keyboard because I have this in the way, so get this down here. So down here, samples. The next octave up starting on C, it's playing these grooves. And what's great with Break Tweaker is you can select one of these timing events and divide this into 39 little slices, and now this kick is now 39 slices, just like that. And if I want, I can do the slope, and I can do the slope where it goes really fast to slow. There's no place on the planet that you can go to and set up a kick drum to repeat 37 times with a tension slope that is programmable, by the way, to all sorts of different scales. Crazy, crazy stuff. For any event, if I want to go to this auto shaker, if I want to divide this by, let's say, 21 times, and I want to have it so that I add some effect to it, so I could add some digital. And this one here, I want to add a different effect. So it's really cool. It's got its own merits for groove, for ease of programming, all that stuff, right? But I can do stuff in Omnisphere that I can't do in Break Tweaker. So I've converted Volume 1 to Omnisphere, and now we're converting Part 2. So if we go to Omnisphere, here is the drum kit, right? And here's the loop. If I play this, and I've transposed parts around. Because it's a keyboard, I can do things different. And then the groove is where it gets crazy, and I shift all those notes down to low C, and I turn on latch mode, and then I make synth sounds for the... So the drums change. So there's all sorts of stuff you can do in Omnisphere that you can't do in Breaktweaker. So they each have their own reasons in the universe to exist. So what I have here are all these other grooves. If I go back to Breaktweaker, you'll see all of these names. If I go to Mad Modular, you'll find that over here. Mad Modular is right here. Seth Norman did this one. Here's Metroplex. Right? Here's Bass Wrecker. It's killing my CPU to play it. I hate that about this specific Breaktweaker program, is it's CPU heavy. So we did the chill. We did chill. We did, I'm showing you what's in part 1. The film, glitch hop, hip hop, all of these are in volume 1. And dubstep was also part of part 1. So, because part 2 is all trance and dance. So we have a ton. There's so many here to do. So let's take a look at one that we're going to convert together, okay? See what everybody's talking about. I think it's because, Kid Anthem's chatting away here. It's sad that both Isotope and Spectrasonics haven't been updating their Groove plugins. Yes, I find that to be sad too. When the right time comes, they will be bringing stuff out. Yeah, RMX hopefully is something they are working on. I do not know. They do not share that information with me. So if we go to dance, let's do like a... Maybe we'll do that. Metroplex took down my computer, so I can't play that one. That one also what happens is, I'll share with you real quick. If you look at these and you go down to the molecular level of what's going on in the waveforms, if it's using 2 samples, like this is using 2 samples for the kick, the snare, it's using 3 samples for that low tone. It's using just 1 sample for that and 1 sample. So there's 3 of the 6 sounds are using layers. When you use layers in Breaktweaker, it causes immediate huge spikes in CPU usage requirements. I don't know why it is. It's frustrating. So we can't show that one to play. And we can't show that one. And that's CPU. So there's also all these dance ones, which were mostly done by Airwave is doing most of the dance techno ones. He did, these are gonna be, I can't wait to see how these will turn out. That's the Airwave. But I didn't edit to that. That'd be fun. Let's do that one. Dead Cow. So if we go over here to Omnisphere, let's look for trance, techno, Dead Cow. So these are the samples that were used, right? Because when this library comes out, I'm going to give you guys a secret set of little stack presets. There's actually a folder in the user presets called stack. And with these, you can go from the kit to the loop layout to the groove layout by just selecting it to save time. The kit layout maps it so that the 6 different sounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are mapped across the keyboard C, D, E, F, G. Just to show you how crazy this is, I could take even like something from OmniPulse, right? I could say, I have a question, which is 4 parts. And if I go over here and if I say, make this into a kit, it'll take the 6 patches. And make them on the keyboard so you can play them. So it's really cool. So that shortcut ability, I will release that. I've saved that as part of my voicing tool, fun stuff. But I will include that. So what I want to do, I need to take these 6 parts and turn it into playing. That's not the same snare. Interesting. Oh. You know, I'm gonna have to remix. Maybe this is because this is the remix and I kept the remix as the final patch, but I sampled out. Oh, I did. Here's the Airways version. Okay. So this is what we have. Okay. So what I need to do is turn off sync. Set this to 126. I'm gonna set up my sequencer a little bit for a second. So, and then I need to resequence this. Okay. And so I can loop that. So that way I can listen to this while I'm doing this process, because this is a little involved what I'm going to show you guys. So like I said, this is another week for heavy brain wear. So this brake tweaker playing it. Like this sound here has way too long of a release. Part 5. So let's. Needs to be shorter. So what we need to do is each of these parts, we're going to go to the ARP. It needs to be upbeats. So I have, let's see if I go here, I need to zoom out more so you see. I try to share everything that I'm doing, so zoom out. Okay, so you have the full screen. That's just whatever the default was for this. That's not the final. So we go down here to the, I can use the OMG starters. I need upbeats. And part 1 is the kick drum. So we can turn this on. It just needs to be downbeats. So we go ARP, OMG starters, 4x4. I'm playing the notes. So that's what we're gonna have it do. So the snare part, let's just have it do the snare. Looks like it's doing a dubstep MIDI file right now. So we go starters to snares on 2 and 4s. And the let's do this. So at this point, I'm ready to make it a loop. So what this is going to do is I need to layer all of these across the keyboard so that they all play at the same time. And you could sit here and do it this way and eventually get there, or use this nice little handy dandy little loop and now they all play at once on one key, all set to the same MIDI channel. So it's a stack mode and everything's on. Okay, I haven't been following chat. What are you guys talking about? You're talking about NVIDIA. Oh my gosh, okay. Damon has a question. Didn't work for me though. I just re-downloaded. Oh, Damon, you might need to hit, when you go to the patch, hit this little refresh button right here for both multis and for patches. You can also find it if you hit the little folder icon and then hit this little refresh button. It's the same one. It's just they have it located out here if you want to use it. That needs to do a refresh of the database and then quit and restart, and you should be good to go. Everything should show up then. So everything's starting on 1, even the things that are not arpeggiated yet. So the hi-hats, turn it on. And then there's the kick, there's this other alternate kick drum that's right here. And let's listen to it. Yeah. And I can always look over here at Break Tweaker, thank goodness, and see it's right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, and then 3rd from the end. So I have it set to 16th notes. 1, 2, there's the 3rd from the end, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make these others go away. There. So now I can compare Omnisphere playing that groove to, well, that was almost smooth, to Break Tweaker. Oh, there's last part, that 6th part. It's not on here, it's... Now, this is one of those things, since this is close to the end of this art pattern and then it goes back to the beginning, I have to use the amp release to let it keep ringing out past it going back to the beginning, because if I don't do that, even if I set this to be, if I hold down shift, I can make this longer. It's going to stop right here because I need it to repeat every measure, right? If I have my release short, it still stops when it gets to here unless I turn my amp release up a little bit. Okay. So this is the Omnisphere version. Sounds a little different, huh? So that's where we're going to have to use EQ on the hi-hats, especially. I hear they don't. So it's easy to fix. High end is easy to fix on something like a high. Oh. All right. This is the hi-hats. There's no EQ being, well, there is a little bit being used. Don't need any low EQ. Okay, so that's close enough. Now, at this point, I'm not going to do the transposing parts yet because that comes later on. I'm now ready to take this to the next step. I've made the groove. I could save this. Let's go save this multi as dead cow. This is the loop. So we save. Yeah, that's good. So we have now both the kit version, so I can sequence it all I want. This version will actually be overwritten. Believe it or not, the process is this. You start with the kit, you make the loop. Once you make the loop, you delete the kit. And then you take the loop and you make the groove, which is where I have all the tricky stuff with the mod wheels and I have synth parts coming on. At that point, I also delete the loop. So there's only the groove. And then I remake from backwards the loop, where I get rid of the synth parts and I map the sounds across the keyboard for the drum groove to play the way I want it to play. Save that as a loop. And then I remap it back to the drum kit, because this way it has all the EQ and it has all the modulation assignments to the effects and volumes and stuff for all the drum sounds. That happens only at the groove stage. So I start at kit, go to loop, go to groove, and then I delete the first two. And then I create this and I nail it exactly how I want it to work. And then I recreate the loop and the kit from the groove. So it's a lot of work to make one of these. And there's 45 of them. That's why this has taken a while to make. It's just been like, okay, am I ready to wrap my head around this? And I'm finally ready to wrap my head around this. But that's what's involved to make these grooves and these multis. So at this point, I'm going to do it the old school. I could come up here and I could say groove, and just like that, it's all done for me so that it works the way I want. But I'm not going to do it that way. Let's go back to loop. And we're going to do it manually so you see the steps. I hate videos where somebody goes, okay, we're going to make this sound from scratch. And here it is on the record. And here's this bass and it's initialized. And like 5 seconds later, it's like, now I got to here and it's all done. And you don't see any steps. And that's not why, you know, it's not why you come to the Plugin Guru website. Because you know I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm playing low C. Right here, it started to work. So I know that that's where I want to assign each one of these to play. So C sharp doesn't make any sound. But when I play low C, as I will show you in a second. So by doing this, I now have the groove limited to one note. I have 2 patch spaces available for making splits or layers or whatever I want to do for the rest of the keyboard. Now I need this to play. This is one of those things where there's these features in Omnisphere you might not be aware of. And that has to do with the live mode. And so we're going to turn on live mode and we're going to turn on the latch button. And by turning on the latch button, you get to see whether latch is on or off right here. Because part of the cool thing when you're doing this live and you're playing keyboard sounds, you can play a pad, hit latch, take your hands off, and it still keeps ringing out that pad. Then you go to another sound and you jam with that other sound. I've shown that in other videos, but this is a different application. I'm using latch mode to now change that when I touch a note, it's now playing that part. But the timing is off, right? That's because everything's set to be played immediately. If you look at this, it says trigger immediate. So when I play this, I can try to play. If you want to sound like a really bad techno band, set everything to immediate and then make the groove. If you want to sound good, what you would do is you would go down here and you could say trigger to 16th notes. So this way, it will not let anybody play until it gets a 16th note command. So that way, oh, I'm not selecting kicks. I'm off 2, 3, 4. Let's try it one more time. It's actually easier once you go back to stack mode. So since I have that set, I can go back and turn on stack mode. So now instead of being split where they're like only played when you select them like this, if I go to stack mode and turn that on, my groove plays. And it's set to latch. And I now have a drum machine. So this is my little technique for building a drum machine inside of Omnisphere. It's pretty cool. And if I wanted to, I could start to program at this point. Oh, module's changing some sounds already because they were based on other patches, right? Whether I keep those or not, I don't know. That's what they're doing. So now the question is, this is where it gets like, what do I want to do? Hey! Didn't I just make a really cool big round bass earlier? Why don't we just simply stick that in here on part 7 and see how it works? So let's go over here to the user area. Oh, this is nice. I like when this works. And it's not mapped across the keyboard yet, so we're going to go over here and say turn on part 7. You have to right click, say add part 7. Now this is where I really need speakers to get my low end fixed, so I'm not going to worry about fixing that, but this kick drum is currently way overstepping. So I would probably look at doing something, if I wanted to be really quick about it, you can go to main, high pass filter, and bring up a little resonance. Now by doing this, I've cut it out from all, it can't go down here. Okay, I'll tell you right now that probably the dinging sound, I'm going to change that. Let's do this. Let's have it be so that the pitch is modulated with an LFO. Oh, this is a tricky LFO. Let's say not this LFO, but LFO. Sync it. So maybe it's just a noise every now and then. Put on maybe the wave shaper. And I might want to high pass filter it, so it can't get into the bass. Okay. And then I might want to put something on top of this, so I'd go to stack mode. Let's let it play C, and then turn on part 8. And if you were playing along at home and you wanted to do something quickly, and I am not even afraid to do this at times, is I will go to like even OmniPulse 2. Let's say to, not to a multi, but to part 8. And maybe find some sort of a riff. And this is one of those where, since this is tempo synced, you can come up here and you can right click and say have it trigger by 16th notes instead of immediate. So that way it will, I can't play out of time. And because this range of the bass is not usable, go to 7, transpose an octave up. And so now I would never do this to where I have just, but just to show you at home where you can just choose any of the OmniPulse patches. And they work. It's really fun how this is all designed and happens so easily. So you could. Okay. So let me see what is going on in chat. Sometimes you get driven by a crazy inner engine. I do. And your dog from Creature-esque in the last part. No. Now we might take this and change it out to be different sounds. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But that's the concept. So at this point, say that I was going to have a BPM like this. Needs to be more trancey, so let's go for something a little bit more legitimate. So I'd want something like this, I think. But I want it to be probably not an ARP. I want to be able to play chords. Then let's have, modulate this with an LFO. Legato. So I can play it live, do just like that. Now this groove, I want to go to the kick. One of my favorite things is to have it go up in pitch. I think it's a hi-hat. Let's see here. Let's go to the. And it just gets darker. Yeah, part 5 is what's doing the. Let's look at the pitch mod. Right click on this, say show me what you're doing on the wheel. Maybe let's have it inverted. That might be cool while the kick drum is going up and fading out. Let's find out. And let's have it also go away in volume. right? And to know for sure if this is the right part, we can solo it. No, it's part 5. So we want this to also see, oh, the wheel is already doing something. It's not taking it down enough. It should be down all the way. Yeah. Maybe just a little bit. Let it pop up just a little bit. There you go. Okay, so when it's all the way modded way up. Okay, so let's say that I like this. We would go save this multi. There's a lot of work to do to it, but I want to show you the basic steps involved. RV and save. All right, so I have taken, if we go to multi-mode, hello, cancel. So I'm in the wrong library. So let's go over here to OMG volume 2. I'm multi right here. So we have the kit, right? We have the loop. And then by setting up the mapping so that it shoots all of these sounds to the bottom of the keyboard, it turns on latch mode and it sets them to 16th notes. I now have a drum machine on low C. Then I have a bass and a synth sound that I'm going to modify. Okay, so that's the steps. It's a lot of steps, and it's more than this, because at this point I now go in and I delete the loop and the drum kit versions so that I can remap these guys out to be the loop. I would go, I'd say remove this part. I'd say remove this part. I set it to be set to loop, and now it's playing the sound across the keyboard, but the mod wheel, I have it doing everything that I wanted, the whole idea. Oh. The whole idea with this, oh, I'd have to go in and turn the latch mode off. So you can either select it here and say latch mode off, or it's easier to go to live mode and see it here and turn it off. And I should probably set it to be triggered immediate for the loop. You don't want to be triggered to 16th notes because it'll feel like there's this weird delay on parts. Trigger immediate. All right, so now, then there's more steps. Now it's like, what parts of the, because I have the loop, but I want it, so I have a keyboard. So there's got to be a reason why I have a keyboard. So I'd probably want to go over here to the hi-hats, map those, maybe the snare mapped, maybe this too. Maybe even the kick. So you can make really big drums, or right? And then save that as the loop, because I have it now set so it's playing across the keyboard the way I want. And then I would then go through and I would turn the arpeggiator off for each part. I would go back here to stack mode and change this to be kit. And by doing that and turning off the ARP for each of these 6 parts, 4, 5, 6, I now have, oh, and then I have to go in and I have to fix those that I have set to transpose, turn those off. They play at the right pitch. 5, 6. Now I have the kit back, and I would save the kit. This way I have the kit with all the mod wheel assignments, just like the big groove. I have the loop as it's supposed to be set as the loop with the mod wheel assignments, and I have then the groove with the mod wheel assignments and the synth parts. So that's what it takes to make one of all of these multis. Oh wait, not these multis, up here, OMG drums. So we have all of these to do. I've done 2 so far. Actually, I've only done 1.5 because there's no groove yet for the air brakes loop. Okay. So it's a lot. It's an awful lot of work. But the end result is you have drum-based grooves using groove samples with synthesis inside of Omnisphere, which is really cool and fun and powerful, and nobody else does it. So there they are. All right, here's a crazy idea. Make a track in 8/8 time, almost the same as 4x4, but can fit more interesting notes. Yes, you're all cool. It's official. That's the one thing you don't get when you see the live stream pre-recorded, is you don't see this crazy conversation. I don't know how many... There's a lot of people talking about stuff. So I think we're about to the end. I'm glad you guys joined me. Damon, is it working? Please tell me it's working. Big E, you said this is a little involved. Your most basic stuff is a little involved for me. So that makes your definition of a little involved completely and utterly over my head. Sorry, Big E. It is deep. It is deep. Getting to this is... It took me, believe it or not, what's really funny for, what, like since 2009, Airwave came out, I think, 2005. Airwave Volume 1 was the library that showed me multis and really kind of got under my skin, and I played them, and it didn't kill my computer. Before that, I was under the impression that playing with multis was going to kill my computer. Was just something. And so I only made libraries with patches, with no multis. And as soon as I've shared this before, but I'll share it again just because it's really fun. The second that I sat down, it was something probably like I love Northern Exposure album version from Sasha and John Digweed. When I sat down and played and Omnisphere did this with one note. I was like, are you kidding me? And I got goose pimples, and you would not believe how freaked out I was when I first was under the impression that I could do all this with one hand, one note. So, I mean, you guys all have Airwave to thank for turning me on to this capability. I mean, Eric had talked to me about it before and said how great it was. But I hadn't seen the real world application of, you know, okay, well, it's a bass and split or something like that, you know, to where it could be much more than that. You know, the live mode is great if you're doing live, but that doesn't like go into programming for me per se. So patches, and then you play in live mode if you want. But this is the first library that came out that had all these cool, you know, signature breaks, these things that were happening with one note. Doing an Airwave groove. I mean, that's what really set everything off. So since Airwave Volume 1, multis have become really important. And I understand how critical they are and what you can do with them. Synthesizers we're going to be looking at in the not too distant future, there's a number of them that have multi-modes in them. I'll share with you a couple that we're going to look at just so you're aware. There's a really cool company. They're not that big, called Parawave. They have a synthesizer which has 8 layers. It can do even crazier than Omnisphere when it comes to the sequence things. When you get to these like Cats Going Crazy. I think this is one that no, Nightclub. Oh, here we go. So this is one where it's playing 8 parts across the keyboard, 1 finger. So Parawave does this. We will look at this. Another synth that a lot of people really like is, and they need to, I believe, let's see, where are they? I wish there's a faster way to find plugins. When you have such a huge list of plugins as I have at this point, it gets really hard. Synapse Audio. Dune 2 is another one that can do up to 8 parts. That can do all sorts of crazy, if you get into the sound banks, to like the EDM stuff, to the sequences, these things. They're doing multiple parts, doing multiple, you know, so we'll look at these guys in the future. Omnisphere is not the only one at this point that can do the multi-mode stuff. It can do some things in there that are very cool, possibly unique, but these guys have unique things too. So I'll be showing them to you in the not too distant future. Each week, so I want to show you a new synth. So it might be a little bit of a delay while I'm moving my house, because that starts next week. But that is definitely part of the game plan. So what are we saying? It's Pat Metheny's birthday today. Yes, I love Pat Metheny. Since First Circle. If you guys haven't heard First Circle, go listen on Spotify to First Circle from Pat Metheny and just let the whole album play. And, you know, Letters from Home and all those. It's incredible stuff. I still want to organize a live gathering and hold a video and have... I actually have been thinking about doing that. So Big E, we'll talk about that. I didn't like the sound of Avenger. Yes, Avenger is another one, and I didn't like the sound of it. Download the demo of it. It's got a lot of capabilities, but sonically it's got something not quite right. So Pat Metheny is incredible. He's done live bands with MIDI, playing real instruments, doing just crazy off the stuff. Oh, cool. Big update for Avenger coming soon. Great. Hopefully they can work on the audio. It's the audio engine itself that I'm not really thrilled with. It doesn't have a clarity presence to it that it needs to have that other synthesizers have. Legacy Collection is on sale. That's right. Those are really cool synthesizers. Since I worked on them, if you want to get into some Korg synthesizers in software, let's just say real quickly, let's see if they will play. I think I had them playing here. Yes. This is my baby. I spent so many years on all these cards with all these, let's see, card 2, like this stuff. Performance. What are we doing? Where are we at? Okay, I need to go back. Back to the top, please. Why are you here? Oh, to the select page. Where is, oh, here we go. Is it? This is a long time ago, man. These are for the the WaveStation SR. These were all programmed with the 10 buttons on the WaveStation SR to make all of these. So the WaveStation is there. There's other synths that are probably more of people's interest, including the Monopoly is wonderful. And they're on sale. So like they said, really great stuff. Love the Korg stuff. Glad that it's here. The Poly 6 is great. Great sound. The edit, they need to make their interface so that it can get bigger, because right now it can't, but this filter is great. That's wonderful analog style resonance. So yes, they are on sale. Good to point that out. All right, Arturia. Some of the Arturia stuff is okay. Other stuff I've sat with people that own some of the synthesizers that they're supposed to be, and I've gotten feedback that they're okay, but they're not the real thing. But they are nice to have. They are nice, and they're at an affordable price. Any questions? We're gonna wrap it up. My head hurts. Oh, I was gonna one more thing I was gonna show. I'm really excited to announce it's not done yet. We got a long ways to go, but we're getting closer to being done with this. This has been a bit of time in the works. I had Matt Chowsky get to work on the interface, and we are almost there with Del Norte EDM or Chill for Contact 5. And I'm really excited about this because when you go to Contact 5, there are not many synthesizers for dance music. It's all film, strings, sample libraries, and stuff like that. This is designed specifically for the attack samples to be here. All of those Virus TI2 samples that I made are going to be right here. Filter, there's 6 effects including glitch, amp, filter, pitch, EG, 2 convolution reverbs, and a delay to make really cool synthesizer sounds for dance music. For Contact 5. So this is in the works. We're just about done. This interface used to be Super Macho Drums, and Matt has totally reimagined it, and we've worked together to get it to where it is, and I'm really, really excited. So, would like to show us next time how to tame the CPU. Yes, we can do that. CPU is one of those challenging things, and it's a number of stops. Yes, looks very nice and shiny. EDM, dance music's nice and shiny. Isn't the sound for each file library or contact libraries? It's the actual instrument. Oh, John, you're welcome. Thank you for buying the libraries, and I'm glad the tips and these live streams help. That's what I'm here for. It's just to, here I am, ask questions, hang out, let's show you something, keep you thinking. The whole idea with all of this is to help you so that when you look at your computer screen, you don't stop being an artist. You're able to familiarize yourself with what you want to change as an artist in the sound so it works with your music. So many times you're sitting here, you're working on something with music, and you look at your computer screen and your music mode goes away. So the whole idea is give you really great sounds to start with the mod wheel so you can customize them. Do these live streams, teach you part to know how to actually get in and change the things. And Biggie is saying 2 questions. Oh, my Contact is loading at a snail's pace and all my other plugins load lightning speed. How can I refresh Contact properly? It depends on what library you are loading. As to whether it's slow or not. Certain libraries are required to load all the sounds into RAM, which might take a long time if it's hundreds of megabytes. Other libraries are smaller files and they load much, much quicker. I could show you examples of different libraries that are really slow and really fast. So it's not necessarily that it's just Contact as a general rule. It's the library you're trying to load in Contact is slow. So look at that. That's where I would look. All right. Any other questions from the gallery? It's the actual Contact engine. Oh, loading the. Well, I don't know. That's weird. How can your coffee last the whole video? I know. Well, it's actually chai. I like to make chai with milk and the Tazo chai that I mix with it cold. I don't know. I like to drink it. Yeah, if you want to speed it up, Biggie, you need to move your whole system to an SSD hard drive. That's what I have here. So I could be in Contact, and because it is an SSD instrument, as far as the hard drives go, I could go to something like this and say, load contact 5, and it loads really fast. So it's hard drive access. I don't know. Maybe we can get together. You live out in Beaverton, and so maybe we'll do a session. Okay, so send me a note. What's your upcoming projects? Well, there's this, there's Del Norte, and there's OMG Volume 2, which is what I was showing you today. And I'm going to start chopping and working more on the cellos once I move my house. That's something I want to do at the new studio. So I'm holding off on that. But OMG Drums Volume 2. ExoSun is working on a really cool, truly retro synthesizer library for 90s dance, 80s, 90s. It's really a great library. So that's coming up in the not too distant future. Kid Anthem is working on something. I can't tell you what it is, but it's pretty cool. What do you use, Skippy? I want a more powerful... what I use is a 6-core 2010 about this Mac. It's 3.46 gigahertz. It's the fastest processors I could afford because that's where your key is. 6-core Intel Xenon. These are computers that are not made anymore. This is not the round one. You can find these for $1,500 with 12 cores or even more. And those are fairly reliable. They can be updated to the latest operating systems. This one is frozen at 10.9. And I've actually bought a number of plugins, including Phobos, BT's new plugin from Spitfire that I can't even load because this is not 10.10. But like I've said, I have software tools on this computer that I need. So I won't update this computer. This computer will stay at this system with this software forever. I won't update it or change it. Yeah, Anto, he's talking about loading Contact, the actual plugin. Like when you select it from the plugin list, the time for it to load, I believe, is what Biggie is talking about. Have you determined your plan on acoustic treatment for your new lab yet? Not really. The advice I've been given is to I've got the wood. I've got this really cool midnight ash wood that I'm going to put on the floors instead of carpet. And I have treatment around me in this room where I am now. I've got these panels that I've had for many, many years that I will set up to start with, and then look at what I want to do for the permanent installation sound-wise in the future. I'm not in a hurry. I don't want to... A lot of times you do this thing where you consult with a company and they send you this whole thing to do to the room before you've sat in the room and listened to the room. And the really important thing I'm learning is a number of my friends that have studios and stuff is sit in your room and listen to the sound and get used to that and find out what it is you need to fix. Because until you know what you need to fix, don't just automatically just put up panels everywhere, and don't do everything like that before you've had a chance to just even listen to the room as it is. So I'm taking the slow step. I'm going to move, which is a big step. I'm going to set as I'm moving, I'm going to have someone in there pulling out the carpet, putting in the flooring, so then I can move the studio into the room, and then I'll build from there because I want multiple webcams. There's all sorts of stuff I have planned for these live streams, so I'll be able to accommodate coming over here and hitting a button and working on this desk instead of being right here in front of my computer screen all the time. So there's all sorts of stuff coming. Just takes time. Yes, there's place for the dog. There will definitely be place for the dog. It's a nice house for a dog. She will be very happy. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you for joining me for the live stream. Send email to john@pluginguru.com if you have questions. I answer lots of questions every day. This week has been an interesting week. A lot of customers with 2 accounts. If you log in and you don't see all of your libraries, it might be because you have 2 email accounts that you have used and you only see one when you log in. So if you're not seeing all your libraries when you log in, please contact me. And yeah, woof woof. One last request. This is a sincere request if you guys don't mind me asking this. I believe I now have comments on my website working. They haven't worked for a long time. If you own libraries and you go to a product, let's see what libraries do I have. So if I go to my account, on this account, I have, oh, I don't have any. Oh yeah, I do. I've got Percussa. So if I go up here to Percussa libraries and I go to Percussa, because I've logged in, you have to log in first to do this. At the bottom of the screen, I can write a review and I can rate it. And I would like to sincerely ask, none of my libraries have ratings and reviews because it hasn't worked since last year. I think it's now working and I want to test it. So if you guys have time to go to, you have to log in and then go to libraries that you already own, and then it will pop up where you can write a review. And if you guys have time to write some reviews to the libraries you like, that would really be nice. I would love to come down to my libraries and see that there's actually feedback from people, because there's no comments right now for most of the libraries, and they still sell. So I'm glad the YouTube videos and comments, people are gaga all over the place on there. But if you have time, please write a review or two, and I thank you for doing that. Bernie, thank you. It's nice. Thank you for contributing to the library. Thanks to everyone. Thanks for the kind comments on the videos, and we will see you. I think I can do a live stream next Saturday. We'll see. Might not. It just depends on how this whole moving process goes. It's about to start to get really serious, okay? But peace to you all. Hands together, heads bowed. Thank you for your support. Talk to you later. Bye. And